Episode 16. An Unexpected Ally. Rian walked for a full half-day before reaching the clearing where Dryas resided. The forest, unlike before, was filled with sunlight and a sense of peace. Beneath the ancient tree in the center of the clearing, Dryas was meditating with her eyes closed. She opened them slowly as if she had already sensed Ryan's approach. "I smell blood and fear on you, human," she said. Her voice was calm, but her gaze was sharp. "What happened?" Ryan held nothing back and told her everything. The disappearing miners of Silver Creek, Baron Thornfield's manor, the horrific scene he had witnessed in the underground laboratory, and the fact that Lauren had been captured. As she listened, Dryas's expression grew increasingly grim. "Thornfield," she murmured. "I have heard that name. A man who appeared suddenly a few years ago and became the lord of these lands. From the beginning, he coveted the power of this forest. He sent men to investigate it several times, but I stopped them all. What could he be looking for? I think it has something to do with an orb from his mind called the Tears of the Stars." "Tears of the Stars?" Dryas frowned. "I have never heard such a name. But there is an ancient power sleeping beneath this land. Perhaps he is trying to awaken it." She fell silent for a moment, then spoke as if she had made a decision. "I will help you." "Are you serious?" Ryan looked surprised. "You are the saviors of my forest, and if this Thornfield seeks to disrupt the balance of this land, then that is a threat to my forest as well. He must be stopped." Dryas stood up and gestured with her hand. The surrounding tree branches moved as if they were alive, forming a path. "Follow me. There is something I must show you." Dryas led Ryan deeper into the forest. They arrived at a small cave surrounded by huge, moss-covered boulders. The inside of the cave was dark, but the moss clinging to the walls emitted a faint light. Inside the cave, a woman was sitting. She wore worn leather clothes and had a bow and quiver on her back. Her eyes were as sharp and wary as a wild animal's. "Lara," Dryas called to him. "This is Ryan. He is here to help us." The woman, Lara, stood up and looked Ryan up and down. Her gaze was like a sharp blade. "What can this one do?" "He looks like a soft city boy," she said, her voice rough and filled with mistrust. "Ilara is from Silver Creek Village," Dryas explained. "Her father was the first miner to disappear from Baron Thornfield's mine. She was in danger while investigating the Baron on her own, and I rescued her and have been protecting her in this forest." Only then did Ryan understand the deep sorrow and anger in Ilara's eyes. She was no simple huntress. She was a daughter bent on revenge. "If you want to find your father, and if you want revenge on the Baron, you'll have to work with me," Ryan said, looking Ilara straight in the eye. "I know the layout of the manor, and you must know the geography of this area and about the Baron soldiers. If we join forces, we can rescue my friend and find clues about your father." Ilara stared at Ryan in silence for a long moment. She did not trust cunning swindlers from the city, but in Ryan's eyes there was a strange sincerity she had not seen in others of his kind. And above all, she had no other choice. "Fine," she finally said. "I'll trust you. But if you try to deceive or betray me, my arrow will find your heart." "Fair enough," Ryan said with a grin, holding out his hand. Lara hesitated for a moment before taking it. In that moment, an unlikely alliance was formed. A swindler, a huntress burning for revenge, and an ancient spirit of the forest. They had a single goal dark secret to the world. Episode 17, The Shadow Alchemist. Going back into the Baron's Manor is a suicide mission, Lara said. They were gathered inside the cave, holding a strategy meeting. A map of the area around the manor, hand-drawn by Lara, was spread out on the cave wall. Security will be twice as tight as before, and all the secret passages will have been sealed. If we can't go through the front gate, we'll have to find another way, Brian said, pointing a finger at the map. What I saw in the manor's basement wasn't just a torture chamber or a prison. It was an alchemy laboratory. To maintain a facility like that, you need a huge amount of water and materials, and you also have to dispose of the waste. There must be a passage connecting to the outside of the manor, something like a sewer line or a secret supply route. A sewer. Lara was lost in thought for a moment, then pointed to a spot on the map. At the base of the western cliff of the manor, there's an old sealed-off drainage ditch. I remember going in there a few times as a kid, playing hide and seek. The stench is awful, and it's narrow, so it's the only place the guards don't watch. That's it. Ryan's eyes lit up. We'll use that ditch to sneak back into the manor's basement. We have two objectives. First, rescue Sir Boren. Second, secure evidence of what the Baron is planning. I'll take the lead, Alara said. I'm used to moving in the dark. You follow behind me and check for any potential traps or magical devices. I will use the power of the forest to disrupt the surveillance around the manor, Dryas said. I won't be able to buy you much time. You must finish everything before the wind dies and the fog lifts. That night, under the cover of a thick fog that swallowed even the moonlight, Ryan and Alara headed for the manor's western cliff. Thanks to Dryas' magic, all the sounds of the forest concealed their footsteps, and the manor guards were far less alert than usual. Just as Alara remembered, the entrance to the old drainage ditch was hidden in the bushes at the base of the cliff. The iron bars were old and rusted, and Alara skillfully picked the lock and slipped inside. Ryan followed her, wrinkling his nose at the piercing stench. The drainage pipe was dark and so narrow that a single grown man could barely squeeze through. Unnamed insects crawled on the damp walls, and sewer rats squeaked and scurried away underfoot. Ryan thought that he never wanted to come to a place like this again in his life. After crawling for some time, they finally found a vertical shaft leading upwards. The end of the shaft was blocked by a heavy iron grate. This must be the way into the manor's basement, Alara whispered. Ryan peered up through the gaps in the grate. He could see a faint light and hear two people talking. Tonight's is the final sacrifice. Once the Heartstone is complete, the Great Master's plan will begin. What should we do with the Night Lord Kalen? He's proven to be quite sturdy. Keep him alive for now. He may be useful as a spare ingredient in case the experiment fails. Ryan felt his heart drop. The speaker was the Baron's butler, the alchemist himself. He had revealed his name was Kalen, and they were planning to use Boren as a spare ingredient. Sacrifice, Heartstone. Ryan repeated the unknown words to himself. Once the footsteps of Kalen and the other person faded away, Rayan and Alara carefully lifted the grate and climbed up. As they had expected, they were in the manor's basement. But this was a different section from the one Ryan had seen before. This area was a much larger, more systematic laboratory. Dozens of prison cells were lined up in rows. deathly pale, and strange silver spots had appeared on their bodies. Their eyes had lost focus and stared blankly into space. They looked like soulless husks. "Father," Lara whispered, her voice trembling. She had found her own father locked in one of the cells. She grabbed the iron bars and was about to cry out, but Ryan quickly covered her mouth. "Shh! If they find us, we'll end up just like them." Just then, Caleb reappeared from the far end of the corridor. In his hand was a glowing silver orb, the tears of the stars. He opened one of the cells and dragged out a miner who seemed to have some fight left in him. "Now, it is time for you to become a glorious sacrifice, you foolish mortal. Your life will become a part of the Great Shadow." Caleb dragged the miner towards a large altar at the far end of the lab. On the altar rested a black crystal the size of a human heart, which seemed to suck in all the surrounding light, exuding a sinister aura. Hiding in the darkness, Ryan and Alara could only watch the horrific scene unfolding before them. The terrible ritual of Caleb, the shadow alchemist, was about to begin.